Welcome back to the Live Free Universe. I am YG Reno. Thank you very much for joining me. Today I want to talk about introverts and extroverts. I have been in customer service and people relations pretty much since I was 22. So I have about 11 years of experience with dealing with different types of people and different types of temperaments and different types of situations. But I used to really be a fanatic about the MBTI because when I went to school, I went to community college when I was 19, and I took a random life management course, and they told us we had to go to the seminar. And at the seminar, they made us take these little bubble sheets with like a bunch of questions on them. And it came back, and the lady was talking, and she had us take a piece of paper, crush it up, and then look at the crushed up ball and write down what we see. And at the end, she gave everybody their scores and gave everybody and told everybody you can go around and get the little pamphlets for your personality. And I got rated as an INTP. It means I'm introverted, intuitive, a thinker, and I am perceptive. So I don't ever recall a time when I thought I was introverted, because I have a lot of energy. Like when I do anything, I just do it, right? And I honestly was like, I'm not no introvert. Like, introverts are boring. They're always quiet. They don't do anything. They're always lazy, or they're bookworms. I hate introverts. I hate anybody who's like overly intellectual and likes to talk shit about people. I think that's stupid. That's what I'm thinking in my brain moment. So, I take this pamphlet and I see another one that says ENTP. I'm like, see, I'm an extrovert. So that's most likely me. Maybe I fucked up on the test or whatever. So I take these pamphlets home, and man, I'm reading through them. And then I start to do little searches on the internet about the INTP and the ENTP, and then it started to get into the functions and how each function has an extroverted or introverted dynamic to it in the way that it takes in or expresses energy. And I kept reading it. And after about 2 years, I finally settled on, okay, I'm an introvert. I still don't believe it to this day, because, I'm good with anybody. I can walk up to anybody, have any kind of conversation I want to, and I'm pretty good with my language. But they say that the INTP has internal core logic. So that means we structure our own type of independent thought, and that we are intuitive. So we create our own kind of imagination. We'll see something and then create a situation in our head or an idea in our head based off what we see and how we think in our own independent realm. And then you have your other two functions that are behind that, which are going to be my introverted sensations. So SI would be logic, not logic, it'd be more structure, core, and memory. And then my final would be feelings, extroverted feelings. So that means that so FE would be the ability to see how everybody else feels, and also know how people feel about you, and worry and need to know how people feel about you. Almost not need, but I don't know how else to express it, because when you take an ISTP or you take an INTP and you put them around people and you find that they're worse with people, the more they're internally angry, because they don't know how to branch off and make those connections, because they're too logic-based and they're too independent thought. They usually use brats, the Bart Simpsons of the world. Even though Bart Simpson's extroverted, I believe, or Dennis the Menace. Dennis the Menace, prime example, or Tom Sawyer. Even though I think Tom Sawyer's an extrovert as well, but it's just that independent thought. But enough about that. So they say introverts need small groups or solo settings to recharge, and I think that's very, very true. But the one thing about introverts is they never say that they're loud. They often say that they're shy or they're reserved, but that's not always true for all introverts. And that's not true for all situations, because people who are actors or servers or bartenders or all around anywhere where they have to be people, they have to be around people a lot of the times. They have to know how to be engaging. So I think introverts are probably quiet within their own dynamic, or when they're in a new setting and they're still trying to get used to everything. Extroverts need large groups and social connections in order to charge up. So they say extroverts need people, or they need something people-based in order to feel like they're alive. And I don't believe that's true either. I mean, I think that's true to an extent, but I think that like extroverts, though they may need people, they don't always have to interact with them, because there are some type of extroverts that are definitely people-based, but they're not very talkative, you know what I mean? They need to be around people to see things move. And even if they're kind of grumpy or they're more like hard, they get a rush and excitement off of it. There are a bunch of different things, which I'm gonna try to break this up into 3 different parts so I can kind of break down everything. But you have your sensation, you have your intuition, you have your thinking function, you have your feeling function, and then you're introvert, extroverted, and then you're a judger or perceiver. Now, to be a judger just really means that you make quick and firm decisions based off perception. So if you grow up in a household and you're taught a certain thing, this is the rule for you. This is the logic for you. This is where you create your branches. Versus if you're a perceiver, it's more like slow and loose decisions based off your awareness. So even though you know something, you still kind of want to see what the other side looks like. So I think that we're always a combination of everything within our personality. I think we're a combination of everything within our personality dynamic, but I think it's true that you call to one or the other, right? And then you just kind of mature through nature and nurture, and you just kind of learn different ways to express yourself. Like some introverts are very, very good at people, and some introverts are very, very bad with people, and they have the exact same personality dynamic. Like the INFJ. I have a love and hate relationship for this personality, because though they have that inner core logic, because they're emotional, every time they try to reject their feelings for wanting and needing other people to appreciate themselves, they end up being more scornful, more mean. There are other personalities like that as well. Like that's not the only one. Like the INTJs have a really hard time making connections because of the astuteness. Something about not being cool, you know what I'm saying? Like the hardest thing for our society is being cool. When you're cool, everybody accepts you, and everybody wants to be accepted at some point. But when I think about introverts, I think, all right, an introvert isn't necessarily a quiet person. An introvert is a person that needs to get away from the crowd in order to recharge. An extrovert is a person that needs to be around people, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they need to engage. Sometimes they can be people who work as security guards and sit behind the camera and just watch people do stuff all day, and then they'll go out and engage, you know what I'm saying? Other ones that are more introverted would rather just sit inside the control booth and just look at the stuff, and they don't want to go outside. And if they do go outside, they usually do this mean face or this sad kind of like, I can't do all the faces, obviously, I'm not an actor or nothing like that, but they make this really serious face. Even if they're a passive person, they just don't want to be there. They don't want to interact with anybody, so they make themselves unavailable to the world. So you have, like I said, your sensation, and you have your intuition. Sensation is more like what's going out, what's reality, what's actually happening. When you have a person that's supposed to be a extroverted sensor, you're gonna have them more like and by all means, look the stuff up yourself. I don't like to use facts and stuff, because facts are cool, but like I told you in my last video, I do it like the FBI. You have to be out on the ground running, and then you read the concepts and models and theories to understand them. So don't think that like I'm just pulling this stuff up out of my ass. I can go up to any personality person and read them, and then I can break you down in front of your face. I can read your personality, break you down, and probably touch a sore spot because I can feel it. Because this stuff is kind of easy. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just it requires a huge amount of concentration. But like I'm saying, a sensor, an extroverted sensor, is more like a person who's like action-based. It's that person that they don't take too much time to really think about it. They just feel it and they get a gut sensation and then they react and then they think about it later. And then you have your introverted sensor, which is gonna be more like structure, core, and memory. I actually do these little things at home because I get bored. But you have the introverted sensor, was more about structure and like building, right? So you have like an introverted sensing person would be a person who doesn't like to really go outside of their comfort zone. And when they do go out of their comfort zone, they're usually really uneasy, so they're really quiet about the way they do things until they get a proper understanding. You got your intuitives. Your intuitives are more like imaginary, right? They're more like imaginary and expansive. They're not really like, they're not really big on trying to figure out what's out there. They more or less come up with their own idea of what's out there, and then they have to explore the world to see if that's true or not. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll find people that are very intuitive and they're introverted. They have a hard time with reality because sometimes reality is not giving them what they want to see because of what they see in their mind. They don't know how to succumb to reality. There's really a lot I'm gonna go over, but I just really wanna go over some brief things with you real quick. So don't feel like I'm skipping over everything because I'm gonna really try to go really in depth with this stuff. But first, I just kind of want to get some of the stuff out. If you have any questions, just throw a comment down there and I'll make sure I'll put it in my next video. Like I say, with introverts, they can be quiet, you know what I'm saying? But they can also be quite popular in huge groups and can enjoy being social as long as they're charged. Tom Cruise is an ISTP. Snoop Dogg is an introvert. 50 Cent is an introvert. Bandman Kevo is an introvert. Nelly is an introvert. Eminem is an introvert. Lil Wayne is an introvert. What's that guy's name? Johnny Depp is an introvert. Leonardo DiCaprio is an introvert. You know what I'm saying? And these people know how to make a crowd move. They know how to make people surround themselves with attention. Andy Warhol was a huge introvert. He was a painter back in the early 1900s. I really don't do too much research on that. I just know from the 48 Laws of Power. And he didn't have a huge circle at first, but what he started doing is hosting these parties at his house, and people would come through, they drink and have fun. And even though he didn't talk to everybody all night and he didn't have a huge talking circle, he had people there and they all knew him, even though they didn't really know him. So introverts can be quite popular and they can really work in huge circles. It depends on the person, because if you're not really comfortable with yourself, you're not going to be comfortable around people. This is the truth, right? And for introverts are very hyper aware about their own faults. So if they don't know how to come up off of that and manage their own self-esteem, they usually get rolled over and then they feel sick by thinking about having to be around people. They feel angry just to think that they have to associate themselves. And honestly, though they might find themselves in long-lasting relationships, they're often not always happy with them. Now, extroverts can be solo in large settings and can enjoy the comforts of solidarity as long as they're mentally comfortable. There are plenty of extroverts that have learned to be okay with not needing everybody around them. But then there are plenty of extroverts that they're not okay with themselves. So what they'll do is when they're out around people, they'll showcase that, right? They'll show their arrogance and the unflattering self because they don't want you to like them either because they really don't like themselves. It's weird. I think that the world, how you see your world is how you see yourself, but also how your world sees you impacts how you see yourself. Because like, we really live in a duality world, right? There's the truth that there's the people that have their truth and there's your truth and then there's the truth of the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes things happen that don't exactly happen because of how you think it happened because of other things. And then also like we live in a vibratory world. Like I don't know what people say, oh, energies don't exist and vibes don't exist and spirits don't exist, but it's like, that don't make no sense because then how come you could have the intuitive inspirations to understand how to build something, you know what I'm saying? Or how to learn, how did the Wright brothers learn how to fly without first having an image in their head that wasn't around? You know what I'm saying? They created that. They came from the inside. Nikola Tesla straight up, what sucks is because we live in a society where most people are consumer based. So even if I explain these personalities to you, it's gonna be hard to understand the concept unless you see the world in a bigger context rather than what you can get out of it, right? Because it's not what you can get out of the world, it's what you leave the world with when you're gone, right? Your memory is one thing, but also what do you leave in this place? That's why when somebody has a lot of kids, even though they might not do anything in their life, they actually leave riches upon the world because they leave the many, many chances of expression of the universe, right? Because every time you have a child, that child is a depiction of you and your counterpart, and also you are the depiction of your parents, and we are their reflection recreated, and then we have our own decisions to make in our own life. So when I look at these introverts and extroverts and all this stuff, and I think to myself, I'm just like, okay, it's bigger than just, oh, you're most likely to do that, or you're most likely to do that. It's like your parents' energy level has a lot to do with how you express your personality and then how you were raised. And I believe that like it's fate and it's also choice in your life, right? Like I feel like you're born to the parents you're born to by fate, but it's also your choice for them to be your parents. You know what I'm saying? Like you weren't there during conception. You couldn't say that they made you, but I feel like, because if we're all spirits, right? If we're all spiritual, I believe in the soul and the spirit, right? And you couldn't have, it's not like you just got trapped in a body. I really believe we called ourselves to this life because I've been down, man. I've been all the way down. And I brought myself to a place where I'm comfortable just trying to expand and grow and reach for more. And the way I see it is like when I was down, I hated myself. I hated a lot of people around me and everything was a joke. I couldn't take anything serious. And the more serious I took myself, the more the universe took me seriously. The more the universe gave me challenges for me to exercise my seriousness. And I think that the reason why I want to talk about the introverts and extroverts is because when it comes to your personality and stuff like that, it only counts for how somebody knows to react around you, right? But your personality also counts as how you're going to behave for the rest of your life. Because take it for instance, right? If you're born to parents that probably had really bad self-esteem issues, you're probably gonna have bad self-esteem issues hereditarily, right? So let's say you have this bad self-esteem issues and you have two people that have the exact same self-esteem issues, but they go in two different directions, right? So you have one person that has self-esteem issues, but instead of doing anything, they might lay around and they're very pensive about how they feel about their life, and they're always reflecting on the moments that happen to them. And even when they're around people, they find themselves getting lost in their own discomfort, right? And then you'll have another person that has low self-esteem, and they'll say, well, they don't know I have self-esteem issues, so I don't want them to see it. So how can I cover it up? So then they start to find ways to talk to people the way they see other people do. So like they'll see that other person smiles and he always tells a joke. So I'm gonna smile and tell a joke. And then, oh, that joke didn't work. Okay, let me take it back. I can either stop or I can keep going and try something else. And I'll just look and see what works for me. And when I find what works for me, I'll just work it and work it and work it. Right? So that's what managing your expectations comes into, and that's where it helps your self-esteem. Because people with high self-esteem, they have the opposite issue. They don't know when they've had enough. The low self-esteem person never knows that they can have more. So, this is just part one. I'm gonna get in deeper into it. I'm gonna try to get really deep into the functions, really. I can do like individual personality types because I do my own independent research. What I do is, personally, like I said, what I do is I read about personalities, right? I read them and then I look at the people that I know and then I try to figure out what their characteristics are. And at first I was okay with it, but now I'm amazing with it. I'm telling you, I can read people's personalities just watching people's YouTube videos. Like I could watch somebody's interview, like, okay, Adam Levine from Maroon 5, he's an INTP. Who else is an INTP? That guy, James Spader, one of my favorite actors, is an INTP. You know what I'm saying? There are plenty of introverts that are out there that are living their lives, and there are plenty of extroverts that are too afraid to put themselves out there. They would rather entertain for their great, big, small circle. You know what I'm saying? Because like they might not know 1,000 people, but they'll know 100 people, and they can circulate around those 100 people, and that's enough for them to feel that extroverted experience. Whereas an introvert person might be known by 1,000 people and only want to contact 5 or 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so much as like how you're living your life that your personality type is. Your personality type really comes from how you. I don't know how you develop your personality type. I think you're born with it, honestly. But I think that like the way you see yourself is going to concentrate different functions within your personality. I know this is pretty long. Thank you very much for watching. I don't really. I don't know. I just wanted to start this off for you before I get deep into it. Ambiversion, though, to me, ambiversion is when either an introvert is comfortable in their expression or an extrovert is comfortable in their solitude or in small settings, right? Because I feel like an ambiversion person is going to be a person that's complete within their personality because they're able to hide and shield themselves in the shadow when they need to, and also bring themselves out into the light. And there's also shadow with the personality. You know, they say you got 4 personality types, and then your shadow is gonna be everything in reverse. I don't wanna get too deep in it because I know a lot of people aren't gonna really do your research. You might just be watching a video to listen, and I really want you to kind of get something out of this. So thank you very much for watching. Part 2 will be coming out soon.
Ain't no sentiments for poor dads and simpletons. Nah. You friends with them, you unlike them, you stupid. You stupid. All of this got a lot of chains and whips. Yeah. Slave to the trends, but you still a piece of shit.